The most dangerous thing you're going to get on your first day of college isn't a bad roommate or a difficult professor. Instead, it's the syllabus to your Chemistry 115 class. This is because the syllabus contains a clear set of instructions and promises an A if you work hard and follow what's written. You've spent the first 18 years of your life believing that if you just do what you're told, work harder than those around you, check all the boxes, and come in first place, you win. But in the real world, the people who only know how to check the boxes end up working for the people who know how to write something in the other part of a multiple choice question. There's a huge myth in STEM college majors. We're told the work is totally objective. Things either work once you touch them or they don't. Because of that, people assume that if two students take the exact same classes, get the exact same grades, and graduate from the same top-tier colleges, they're heading towards this exact same future. But real work is never just about clean code. It's mostly about how you handle friction. To see how your career really takes shape, you have to look past the resume. Picture two computer science majors, Marcus from University of Wisconsin-Madison and Elena from Purdue University. On paper, they're very similar. Both have 3.8 GPAs. Both can ace a technical interview on the whiteboard, but behind the scenes, they operate completely differently. Elena's college vibe was all about polish. For her senior project, she built a bus tracking app. She didn't touch the messy database. She handled the front-end design. She made sure the buttons looked great, the colors popped, and the presentation was flawless. The actual data behind the app was totally fake because the database connection was broken. But Elena knew that in the presentation, looks are everything. She optimized for a smooth ride. Even with her friends, she was the one organizing road trips with color-coded spreadsheets so no one would argue. Marcus was different. His coding projects were just ugly black screens with text. For his senior project, he spent 3 weeks staring at a glitch that slowed things down by a fraction of a second. The professor never would have noticed, but Marcus fixed it because the inefficiency annoyed him. When the Wi-Fi crashed at a crowded house party, Marcus was the guy behind the dusty TV stand, drink in hand, figuring out how to fix the router. Elena learned that your value comes from what people can see. Marcus learned that your value comes from knowing how to fix the messy, hidden stuff that keeps everything from falling apart. Both skills matter, but the real world rewards one much more than the other. When they graduate, they both get hired at the same massive AI tech startup. Let's call it Orbit. They think they're starting with a blank slate, but they're not. They're just dragging and dropping their college habits into the real world. Elena joins the user experience team. Her job is simple: take the designs and build the interface. By day 2, she's assigned to build a simple slider feature. She codes it, tests it, and sends it off. It feels great. Within 2 months, she's the team's go-to person for fast, reliable work. She's solving obvious problems with clear answers. But because her work is also so predictable, her role shrinks. She's so busy turning out visible projects that she's never invited to the messy, high-level meetings where they actually decide why they're building these things in the first place. Marcus joins the back-end infrastructure team. He doesn't get neat, easy tasks. He gets vague instructions to look at broken systems. He spends his days untangling spaghetti code, asking dumb questions, and throwing together ugly temporary fixes just to keep the servers online. When people ask Marcus what he's doing, it's hard to explain because it changes so often. He watches Elena finish projects every day, while he spends a whole week just trying to trigger a single bug. But this is where their paths split. When a bad batch of data gets ingested, and the AI suddenly starts spitting out complete garbage to thousands of users, the bosses don't call Elena. Her dashboard looks amazing, but it's displaying corrupted data. She can't fix it. They call Marcus. They need someone who isn't afraid to rip open the black box and wrestle with the chaos. 5 years later, Elena is offered an entry-level management position, but only to supervise new college grads doing the exact same work. Her growth is capped. She hit a ceiling she accidentally built for herself by being way too good at the straightforward stuff. Marcus, on the other hand, gets recruited for a massive high-level engineering role. He skips the plateau entirely because he spent his early 20s wrestling with the scary, undefined problems that everyone else avoided. He doesn't just follow the instructions anymore, he writes them. He made it to the roof, and on the roof there is no ceiling. This brings us to a really harsh truth. The habits that make you a safe hire right out of college are the exact same habits that will trap you later on. When you obsess over visible wins, like getting perfect grades, winning awards, or snagging fancy titles, instead of taking risks and learning how to navigate messy situations, you're building your own ceiling. The system is brutally efficient. If you prove you're amazing at doing the busy work, the company will always just give you more busy work. They won't invite you to help make the big decisions because they need you to keep cranking in the engine room to keep the gears spinning. The ceiling isn't made of glass. It's made out of how the environment sees you and where to keep you most productive. I know exactly how this ceiling forms because I hit mine just 1 year into my very first engineering job. It was the late 1990s, right in the middle of the first internet tech boom. I landed a job in research and development at a huge tech company near Silicon Valley. I had an advanced degree in electrical engineering from a top 20 university. I played by all the rules. But when it was time to send someone to Germany for an important high-stakes strategy meeting, my manager didn't send me. He sent a coworker who had the exact same resume. When I asked why, he just said, "We need you here at the office to keep things moving." I had been completely boxed in. I was the doer. It was harsh, but it showed to me exactly what the rest of my career at this company would look like if I stayed there. I just didn't have the awareness to see how I was limiting myself. A blind spot that actually followed me when I left to start a series of businesses on my own. Some of these were successful and some were not. It wasn't until years later, after spending a long time learning meditation at a retreat in India, that I finally figured out what awareness actually means and saw my blind spot. It is not about finding your inner peace. It's the ability to see the game while you're playing it. To look at your school time or your work time as an experience separate from your identity and not get trapped by it. I've watched this happen with my own children also. My daughter is a medical student at a top 10 medical school heading into a neurology residency. My son is a mechanical engineer at a startup heading to Harvard Business School for his MBA. They both have amazing resumes, but these resumes are just the ticket to get in the door. What actually decides their future is whether the people around them decide to open doors for them or block their way. So, what does this all actually have to do with you? Since you've spent the first 18 years of your life working to be the best, I'm definitely not telling you to stop working hard. Far from it. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to give you any advice on the doing. But as you head into college, it helps to expand your focus not just on the doing, but also on the being. You can start asking yourself about the roles you play. In group projects, are you the one typing up the final report or the one pitching the big idea to the class? Are you only taking classes where there's one right answer on a test, or are you taking classes where you actually have to argue a point of view? Are you putting yourself in situations where you feel a little bit uncomfortable? This is about identifying the patterns that form around you. And with practice, these patterns become predictable. And because they are predictable, you can learn to be aware of them as they happen. And once you're aware, you have a choice where before you didn't. I explore this entire mechanism in my upcoming book, Before the Ceiling Forms. It isn't a manual for what to do in college. It's a guide to help you observe more carefully after you get in. And it is about noticing the invisible architecture of how career ceilings form before your career actually starts. I have included more information about the book in the description below. Because in the end, the environment doesn't just evaluate whether you can do something. Instead, it decides whether it can imagine you doing it before it gives you a chance.